All right, I've just shared the link for this evening's broadcast, and it's a live broadcast. And you can take the link and share that link on your Facebook or your social media, and persons will be able to view the broadcast live this evening. Okay, and Dr. Coleman, I've also sent the link to you by WhatsApp, so you also have the link for WhatsApp. If you have any group that's Dr. Coleman that you'd like to share it in, that you will be live, you can do that. First Lady Jeannie, I shared the link with you as well. If you want to put it on the class of SteelE pages, you can do that. All right, a pleasant good evening to the class of SteelE this evening. This evening is Wednesday, the 23rd of June. I remember it clearly because today is the birthday of Her Excellency Jeannie Steele. So just join me and just give her a happy birthday to the First Lady. Happy birthday, my dear. And this evening is a special evening because we have asked for Her Excellency Dr. Lenore Coleman to share in the class this evening. And let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Coleman. I'll just give you a little bit of a background of Dr. Lenore Coleman. I'm just trying to, I'll send you a file. Okay, so let me do it this way. I'm gonna share a file with you in the chat. It's Dr. Coleman's bio that I'll be sharing with you. Let me just go and share Dr. Coleman's bio with you this evening. All right, let's do this. Okay, so I've shared the file, Dr. Lenore's Coleman's bio with you, but for the sake of the class, let me just tell you who Dr. Coleman is for this evening. Dr. Lenore Coleman received her Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of California, San Francisco. She completed an ASHP approved residency in ambulatory care at the USC School of Pharmacy. Dr. Coleman has been a practicing pharmacist for over 36 years and has worked as a clinical pharmacist in acute care, ambulatory care, long-term care, and community pharmacy settings. Within each of these practice settings, Dr. Coleman has focused on the care and management of people with diabetes. Dr. Coleman holds the title of Adjunct Professor, Xavier College of Pharmacy, a certified diabetic educator of 18 years. Dr. Coleman provides education and drug therapy management to ethnic populations nationwide. Dr. Coleman is currently the executive director and founder of Total Lifestyle Change, a nonprofit service organization dedicated to eliminating healthcare disparities in ethnic populations. And you will see her website is posted there for us. As part of TLC, Dr. Coleman has opened a wellness center based in Johannesboro, Georgia. She has developed Project Faith and Operation Detect, a cardiovascular risk reduction program for faith-based and community-based organizations. In addition, Dr. Coleman has developed a video radio broadcasting platform, Village Broadcasting, Web TV, and Village Talk Radio to address the following the medical, emotional, psychological, and social justice issue affecting the African American community. Dr. Coleman is president and founder of Healing Our Village of Maryland Incorporated, a nationally certified minority business. Healing Our Village provides diabetes and asthma COPD education nationwide with certified program in Washington, D.C., as well as a medication therapy management and health education programming via internet to consumers, federally qualified health centers, hospitals, and physicians' offices throughout the United States, Caribbean, and Africa. She provides technology-enabled care and remote patient monitoring to manage medical health plans at small urban hospitals. Most recently, Dr. Coleman has launched HoveHealth.com, a multimedia education platform for diabetes management and prevention. Through Village Broadcasts, we provide easy to understand video vignettes on various chronic diseases, as well as a live streaming event every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We now have a monthly newsletter entitled For Your Health that is published in Urban Sentinel magazine. In March 1996, Dr. Coleman became a fellow of the American Society of Health Systems Pharmacists, which represents sustained excellence in the practice area for more than 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, friends and visitors, this evening in the class of SteelE, I want to officially also introduce Her Excellency Dr. Lenore Coleman, as she is one of our ambassadors, and she is also a lifetime associate of the class of SteelE. So without any further ado, let me present our friend, Dr. Lenore Coleman, who this evening will be presenting to us as she is led. Dr. Lenore Coleman, you're very welcome. Come on, let's give her a welcome this evening. You're welcome, Dr. Coleman. On mute, Dr. Coleman, on mute.
Thank you so much. I want to share my screen here and see if I can bring up the presentation for this evening.
All right.
All right. And let's see if you all can see it. There's always a little delay. Okay, can you see it? Excellent. Okay, so thank you so much. I really appreciate being able to come to you today. Just a little background about myself. I am a pharmacist by training, certified diabetes educator. And I started on this journey over 40 years ago. And I formed my business, Healing Our Village, over 25 years ago. And what prompted me to do that was my pastor died a sudden death in the pulpit. He died in the pulpit on September the 6th of 1996. And on that Sunday, I actually wasn't there. I was traveling. I was working for a pharmaceutical company at that time. And I came back the following Sunday and I was filling out my envelope with my tithe. And the person in the pulpit said, the viewing for Pastor Henry will be today at 3 o'clock. And I leaned over to the woman who was sitting next to me and I said, did Pastor Henry die? And she said, oh yeah, he fell dead in the pulpit at the 6 o'clock service last week. And so on that day, I decided that I was going to devote the rest of my energy and my time to try to heal the village. And I want to not only do that here in the United States, where I'm based, but also globally. So for the last 15 years, actually, I've been traveling all over the world, mostly to African countries and Caribbean countries, so that I could get my arms around what the issues are related to health and wellness in the diaspora. I'm very interested in health and wellness throughout the diaspora. And so tonight, what we were going to do is give you just a sort of a top line overview of what my perception is over this last 15 years in terms of what's going on throughout the world in populations of color, and what we can do to solve the problem, because there are solutions to this. And so as a collective across the world, this is the reason why I have joined the class of SteelE. And this is why I'm so honored to be here and work with Dr. SteelE to be able to, carry this message that I have to everyone who will listen, so that we can stop dying before our time. And so that not only will we live long, but we will live long and healthy. Because that's the most important thing, is being able to live long, but live long and healthy. So I am president and founder of this company called Healing Our Village. And this first slide really shows you that I am really a multicultural program, a multicultural company. We have people that work for my company that speak many languages. And so we're able to provide educators to all parts of the diaspora, and provide the kind of innovation and technology that will allow us to improve the management of non-communicable diseases. So tonight's focus will be on non-communicable diseases. Because what I have found as I visit various countries around the world is they're doing a pretty good job with communicable diseases, but not such a good job with non-communicable diseases. So here is a word cloud, and this word cloud sort of sets up a template for how we need to think about non-communicable diseases. And we know that it's a problem, and it's a big problem. It's a problem all over the world. And it's a problem because of the amount of death and dying and morbidity that's occurring because of these non-communicable diseases. And we know that in most countries, ministries of health and public health is what is working to try to solve these issues. And most countries have socialized medicine by and large. And most of these countries, their ministries of health basically are taking the lead on trying to handle all of these issues. And we know that that there are risk factors, which we're going to talk about, that are leading to an increase in these non-communicable diseases. And these risk factors are controllable. These risk factors are preventable. And so we actually, as people, are in control of our health. And when we talk about health, we should be talking about mental health and emotional health and physical health, because they all work together in terms of making sure that you don't develop these chronic diseases. And a lot of these diseases progress slowly. And so they creep up on you. You don't even know that you got a problem until boom, you're in the hospital. And so what we're trying to do is detect these chronic illnesses before they happen so that we can prevent them from happening or catch them early. Because if you catch things early, then you can decrease the problems that you have, right? So I thought this word cloud really did a good job at sort of kind of setting up what we're going to be talking about. And then the other big word on this word cloud is diet, nutrition, what you're eating. Because over the years, our diet has changed, especially throughout the diaspora. So there's a lot more fast foods being consumed, a lot less people cooking meals, a lot less people growing their food and eating fresh from the ground, fresh from the waters. Our waters are being polluted. And so even if you are catching fish, maybe that fish is not healthy for you. So that big word of diet there is contributing to the problem. So when we talk about non-communicable diseases, we know that they're complex. It's not something that's real quick and simple and easy, right? So the causes of these diseases are what they call multifactorial. There's a lot of factors that are causing these diseases to occur. And they last a long time. You know, they can be diabetes or hypertension or some of the other things can last for years and years, 30 years, 40 years. And we know that, again, they're non-communicable and they do cause functional impairment. They do cause disability. And some of the disabilities are small. Some of the disabilities are big, depending upon the illness that we're talking about. So when you're thinking about these non-communicable diseases where you live, but even more importantly, in your family, if I can just get every person to take care of their family, then I can be able to really make a big dent in what's going on in terms of these NCDs throughout the globe. So tonight is being recorded. We're streaming. You need to make sure that all of your family members get to watch this, because there's going to be good information for them to be able to start making changes in their behavior and their lifestyle so that they can live a long and healthy life. Now, when you talk about these non-communicable diseases, we're talking about cardiovascular disease usually tops the list, because when you're looking at the numbers, most people, especially people of African descent, are dying from heart disease, coronary heart disease, heart attacks, and stroke. They're also dying from diabetes. That's usually top of the list as well, because diabetes is actually very similar to a cardiovascular disease. Diabetes really affects your heart, your blood vessels. And so because of that, it causes you to it increases your risk 2 to 5 times, increases your risk for heart attacks and strokes. But there's also cancers. There's also chronic respiratory diseases, especially in countries where people are still smoking tobacco. There's also Alzheimer's diseases and dementias that are occurring. And then, of course, musculoskeletal diseases like arthritis. So those are all the ones that we have. But the top 4 are your cardiovascular disease, your cancer, your chronic respiratory disease, and your coronary obstructive pulmonary disease. So these are your top 4. These are what we focus on. This is what Healing Our Village is focused on, because if I can just affect these 4, I can really make a huge difference in the longevity of the populations that I'm trying to reach. So let's take them one by one. So cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death globally. #1. It's estimated that 18 million people died of cardiovascular disease in 2019, and that it represents 32% of all global deaths. And 85% of those deaths were due to heart attack and stroke. And we know that these deaths occur in low and middle income countries. So the richer your country is, that usually means the better your healthcare system is. It just kind of goes hand in hand. And the poorer your country is, that means that generally speaking, your healthcare system doesn't do such a good job. And they predict that by 2030, almost 25 million people will die from cardiovascular disease. So the numbers are going up. They're not going down. I remember when I gave this talk 10 years ago, 2030 looked like it was pretty far away, but it's 2021. So, 2030 is coming. It doesn't seem so far away now. That was what struck me as I was preparing to give this talk. We know diabetes is a huge problem, especially in the diaspora. It is the #1 growing health crisis. And what you need to figure out is, are you at risk? And there is a risk calculator that you can go right to the internet, just type in diabetes risk calculator, and you can calculate your risk of getting diabetes. There's also a risk calculator for cardiovascular disease. So you can do the same thing. You can see what your 10-year risk is for heart attacks and stroke. So I am really, encouraging everybody out there, especially if you have diabetes in your family, that you figure out your risk of getting diabetes, because if you are at risk and you score higher than 5 on this risk calculator, then that means there are certain things that you need to start thinking about related to heart attack and related to stroke. So there's a huge diabetes explosion, and you see that tummy, you see that man's belly, that is why. The reason there's more diabetes now than there has ever been is because we are fatter than we have ever been. And if you look at countries that are malnourished, that don't eat a lot, where the people tend to be low in terms of their body weight, those places tend not to have a lot of diabetes. The only exception to that is in China and in India, where diabetes for those countries are totally genetic. It has to do totally with genetics, and less to do, not 100%, but a lot less to do with lifestyle, with what they're eating and what they're doing. All right. So this obesity epidemic is why we're seeing so much diabetes that we did not see previously. So here are some global projections for diabetes comparing the year 2000 to the year 2030. And you can see when you start looking at, you can look at what continent you're on, right? It's right there. And it's telling us that by the year 2030, that there's going to be 366 million people with diabetes, which is a 213% increase. 213%. So when you're looking at this map, this should get everyone in your countries, your public health, your ministries of health, your tribal leaders, your government leaders, everybody should be trying to stop this progression. This is a tsunami, and we know it's coming. And we have got to try to start putting in place what we need to do to stop this tidal wave, because it's coming. There's no doubt that it's coming. All right. And what that then equates to is it equates to the number of deaths because of diabetes, that's also coming. So in 2000, there was about 3.1 million, right? It's 54% of all deaths. But we know that as we continue to go ahead, we're going to have this huge increase in the amount of diabetes deaths because of us not doing what we need to do. Let's talk a little bit about cancer. In 2018, there was about 17 million new cancer cases, about 9.5 million cancer deaths worldwide. 70% of all cancer deaths occur in low and middle income countries. And by 2040, the global burden is expected to grow to about 27.5 million. And 30% of all cancers are attributable to the behavioral risk factors. So it's what we're eating, it's what we're drinking, it's the air that we're breathing. All of these things, our environment and our behavior, is what is contributing to this increase in cancer deaths. It's also because of increased stress and strain in our lifestyle. When you look at the countries that have the lowest cancer rates, they're also the countries that tend to have the best lifestyles. So when you look at there are 5 blue zones in the world, right? And when you start looking at cancer rates in those blue zones, if you start looking at heart attack rates in those blue zones, if you look at the amount of diabetes in those blue zones, they're much less than other parts of the world. And it's because those people have adopted a low stressful lifestyle. And because of that, and because those governments there are more open and there's less stress and strain and there's so much more family orientation there, because of that, those people tend to have less cancers. But they're also eating a lot of fresh foods, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, and a lot of fish. So one of the things that Healing Our Village does is try to work with risk factors. We try to reduce the risk. And if I can reduce your risk, I can reduce the burden of disease in populations of color across the globe. And I also work very hard as a company to change people's behavior, what they do, but not necessarily just what they do. It's what they think. When they wake up every morning and they start their day, what does that look like? Are they looking forward to the day? Are they happy during the day? They can't wait to start their day? Or are they waking up depressed and sad and forlorn because their day they know is not going to be a good day? So we work a lot on not only what you do, but what you think, because what you think actually sets the pace for what's going on with you emotionally, mentally, and physically. So risk factors are what we focus on at Healing Our Village. And we know that there are, again, your heart disease, your diabetes, your cancer, your chronic lung diseases, and there's other NCDs that are out there. But we also know that if you don't get any physical activity, if you're smoking cigarettes or tobacco, using tobacco products, if your diet is unhealthy, or if you're drinking too much alcohol. Now, a little alcohol is okay, all right? Especially if it's wine. Some of those blue zones actually, they drink wine every single day, usually red wine. But it's okay to have alcohol, but when you start talking about hard liquor like whiskey and bourbon and some of those others, vodka and etc., if you drink too much, anything too much is bad for you. So moderation is the key. And that's what we try to do. We don't really tell you not to do anything. We try to tell you to balance, get your life into a balance so that you're not having a little bit too much or a little bit not enough. So we are really focused on balance at Healing Our Village. So when we're again talking about these risk factors, the ones that we focus on at Healing Our Village are what we call the metabolic risk factors. So that's your blood pressure, your raised cholesterol, your raised blood glucose, and being overweight and obese. And this really became so clear to me when I went to Kenya on a medical mission, and we were able to go and check out a Maasai tribe. And so we went out there and we looked at we were actually where they lived, and we went into their dwellings, and I saw how they built the dwellings, and I just saw it. We learned everything about that tribe. And what struck me was, number one, they didn't have an ounce of fat on them. They were lean. The other thing that struck me is when we took their blood pressures, their blood pressure was 90/60. 90 was the top number, the systolic pressure. 60 was the diastolic or bottom pressure. Now, you know, when you here in US, they talk about, and in UK, right? They talk about what your goal blood pressure should be. And it's usually 120/80 or 130/80. It's those are the numbers. But that's not what the number they have. They didn't have no 120 or 130. Their number was 90. They also didn't have any kidney disease. And they also weren't losing their eyesight. And they weren't having all of these complications because they weren't having heart attacks, and they weren't having strokes. Because heart attacks and strokes usually come from people's blood pressure, especially strokes, come from having that top number be too high. Heart attacks come from that bottom number being too high. So right now, for the rest of my career, all right, I'm 68 years old, and I'm going to live to be 100, Lord willing. And my rest of this next 30 years of my life, I am focused on stopping hypertension in the diaspora. I need it to stop. And there's no reason it can't stop. So we need to be focused on that. They also have people have raised cholesterol. So they're eating too much fat and saturated fat in their diet. They also have the diabetes. So they have high blood sugars, but there's a lot of people, millions and millions and millions of people that have what we call pre-diabetes. So they're not diabetic yet, but they're in that danger zone. And if they don't do something to reverse their numbers, they will have diabetes. So I'm now focused on pre-diabetes. I actually have developed a mobile app that's going to be on people's telephones so that they'll be able to have us tell them through instruction, through our weekly classes, and through our recipes and through our various exercises that we're going to do, they will be able to decrease their risk of diabetes. And so I'm very excited about our ability to use technology to improve these risk factors. And then the other major risk factor is obesity and being overweight. We are more obese and overweight than we have ever been. And some of it is our fault, but some of it's because of the way in which they process the foods. And the amount of processed foods we eat is what is contributing to this being overweight and being obese. So this is data from back in 2004, but back then, globally, about 9% of adults had elevated blood glucose, which was in that pre-diabetes range. And now that number is very, very high. So that's sort of a really short overview just to kind of whet your taste buds in terms of what we do and how we do it and why it's important. So I have now given you the why. I would love to work with all of you through the class of SteelE to put into place all of the tactics and strategies and solutions that we have developed over the last 40 years. So I've been at this for 40 years and I think I figured it out. I figured it out, what we need to do globally to make a difference. So let's talk a little bit about who we are. Healing Our Village basically is a minority-owned or Black-owned business here in the US. We basically are specialized in this education and training. So it's all about lectures. It's all about letting people know more about how to change their risk factors, change their lifestyle. The gentleman that you see in the slide with me is my chief medical officer. His name is Dr. James Gavin. He is one of the leading global endocrinologists across the world. So everyone who's in the area of diabetes knows that name. We specialize in medication therapy management. I'm a pharmacist by training. So the elephant in the room is that people are not taking their medicines or they're not taking the right combination of medicines. But I'm really into a holistic approach to these things. And so, I'm trying to get people off of medications, not onto medications, right? So we need to try to have you work with us to get your lifestyles changed, get your risk factors changed, and then you can control your blood pressure and your blood sugar with a minimal amount of medicines, if not no medicines at all, depending upon when we start working with you. We also work very closely to educate other doctors and nurses and pharmacists across the world. So when I was in Nigeria, I was actually the keynote speaker in Benin. There were pharmacists from all over Nigeria that were at the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria conference that they have once a year. And so I talked about diabetes and we talked about what we could do in Nigeria to make a huge difference in the lives of the people that are there. So what struck me when I was in Nigeria and I was at that conference is it doesn't matter how small the village is, right? How small the different cities are. There's usually a pharmacy somewhere close. And so if we could get all the pharmacists in these countries to work with Healing Our Village, we could actually make a huge difference in the lives of the populations throughout the diaspora. And the first step to that is training and education. So that is why Class of SteelE is so amazing, because that's what their focus is. Their focus is in the education and training, and that is so important. So those are the main things that we do is disease management, prevention, and control, and then professional education. And we do chronic disease workshops for both professionals and patients. We have, as Dr. Steele said, our own production company. So we produce videos. If you go to HOVhealth.com right now, we have stuff on that channel right now that's available for you to watch. And we will continue to produce those. And then we're probably next year, we'll be moving to get some of that on our Roku and on Amazon television and Fire TV. So we're going to be doing that as well. We do a lot of town hall meetings where we bring people all together in one big area and we do screenings and we detect if they have diabetes or hypertension, or if they have cancer, or if they, whatever chronic disease we're focused on, the COPD. So we can do that. And so we do a lot of wellness and prevention screenings and events where we bring people in to large numbers. We create these workshops. So on Saturday, like Dr. Steele said, I stream live. And what you're seeing on Saturdays is my diabetes workshop. It's called Sugar Busters. And so every Saturday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'm coming live to you with our course. It's a 7-hour course, and it tells you everything you need to know about diabetes. And then every Monday, we have Zoom classes with my dietitians, all free for you to be able to listen and ask questions and figure out exactly what we're doing. So this program could be replicated in your country, in your languages, so that we could be able to do this. But this is a model, and this model is a plug and play model that can work anywhere in the world. And so we are going to be, as part of Class of Steel, trying to bring that out, bring this to the diaspora. This is what the website looks like. It's hovhealth.com. And if you go there and you go to video on demand, you'll be able to see all of our workshops. But on Saturdays, if you go to this website, when I'm streaming live, you can watch it either live here or on Facebook or on YouTube. So we're streaming on all the different platforms, because if you don't know the information, then you can't do better. So it's knowledge is power is my tagline. And I think that that's really, really important. So that's why our website is available to across the globe for people to be able to look at. This is a picture of our film studio. This is one of our studios. It's called Village Broadcasting. Everything for me is about the village. The name of my company is Healing Our Village. We have Village Talk. That's the radio podcast. We have Village Broadcasting. That's my broadcasting thing. Everything when you want to buy a blood pressure cuff or a blood glucose meter at a lower rate, you go to the Village store. It's all about the village. When I first started this company, about 28 years ago, people told me not to use that name. It was too specific. I should try to get something less ethnic, was what they said. And I told them, forget you. Because what I want to do is heal the village. And I'm not changing the name of my company, okay? So this is my company, and I'm healing the village. And what I need is people, I need health warriors like you all. All right, I just came back from Ghana. I was in Ghana in January of last year. And there's a wind instrument that's called an okaban. And that is the wind instrument that they used to use to call the warriors to battle. So my health initiative is the Okaban Initiative. And I'm calling all of you as health warriors to battle so that we can make a difference in the lives of the people across this diaspora. And we need to start now, today. It's very important. This is my social media. If you go to my website, HOV Health, you can get onto my Facebook page. You can get onto my YouTube channel. You can get onto my Instagram. Every day we send out health messaging. Every day I will give you something that you need to know about improving your health. I have something called Healthy Tips A to Z. It's a video. And every day, during the week, every week, we send out a video, Healthy Tips A to Z. So we're trying to get this message out on your cell phone, on WhatsApp, on whatever you're using to communicate. That is where we're at right now. So right here, you see something called Diabetes, the Truth About It. That's up on my YouTube channel. So I have things, little 2-minute messages that tells you everything you need to know about diabetes. So we will be able to give those to you to promote in your countries. And if you guys could help me change them over to your languages so that we can make sure that everybody can get it in the language that they speak. And so that's what's so important. Village Talk Radio is actually a mobile app. It's a radio station. We were doing podcasts from that station. And so that station, because of COVID, we sort of had to go dark, but now we're hoping to bring that back in 2022 so that you would be able to have those podcasts available. All you have to do is download the app onto your phone, and if we're streaming live, you'll be able to hear us. These are all the various materials that I have produced. So I have handouts, I have a book, I have videos, I have a little flip chart. I have any kind of materials that you need or would want to work with us. We're more than happy to create these materials for you. I have a whole group of people that's all they do is create educational materials, flyers and handouts, etc. This is pictures of the screenings that we've done over the years. We've screened tens of thousands of people here in the United States and in the US Virgin Islands. So we would bring our health screening there, and we set up tables, and I bring pharmacists and nursing students to be able to provide these screenings. So these are what we would need to do across the world as part of this initiative that we would like to start. And as we do them in gyms, we do them in schools, we do them in the churches, we do them wherever people will come and gather, so that we can detect, it's called Operation Detect, so that we can detect these conditions before they get too bad. And some of them we can reverse just by changing people's lifestyles and eating habits. So I'm gonna stop there. Dr. Steele, that sort of gives you a nice overview of Healing Our Village, my life's work, what I'm focused on, and also sort of the why we want to think about doing this across the diaspora.
Oh, thank you so very much, Dr. Coleman. Come on, let's give her a class of steel thank you and celebration. You know, Dr. Coleman, while you were speaking, I want to bring home a thought to you. The class of steel is made up of individuals who have found their passion and their purpose in life, and they want to know how they can better equip themselves to be more effective, but equally, how can they help the world to be a better place by their contribution. And I want to appreciate you doubly because you made a decision based on losing someone that if you were there, that person probably would have lived because you would have known what to do. And because you weren't there and you recognize there's a need for individuals to know what to do in times like those, one, but also individuals need to know what to do so as not to be in that position as well, because there is preventing individuals from getting to that place, one, and two, there is, if you see somebody in that place, you know what to do to help them.
Right.
So Dr. Coleman, I want to appreciate your life task. And again, you're already a lifetime associate of the class of steel. We're promoting you, pushing you, because you are just like us. We're doing this for the sake of humanity.
Right.
A lot of times individuals look at the United Nations and other organizations that are working to help, and because of lack of information, they cry down, they criticize, and sometimes they even get in the way of the progress of good information reaching the masses. I want to let you know, Dr. Coleman, that in the class of steel, we're going to continue to work close with you, and we are going to look at how we can open initiatives in Africa where individuals could get information. And for us, it's not about the money, it's not about the currency, it's not about what you get out of it. What we get out of it is the fact that more people will live and survive. I equally think that you, as a woman of God, I think, Dr. Coleman, you should let them know, just like I'm a bishop, you also are a woman of God. That should be clear.
Yeah. No, this is my purpose, and this is my why. This is why I'm here. I am trying to get everybody to live to 70. That was the biblical promise for me. 70 years old. And then I want to go ahead. I'm trying to get to Abraham and Methuselah. I'm trying to get to 100. 100 being healthy, 100 not having all of these issues, and be able to continue my work. It's possible. It's possible. And so this for me, I just think that unfortunately the world is pulling away from God. And we need to re-engage and get back into our path to being straight and not veering to the left and veering to the right, and letting him be in control of the choices we make and the decisions we make. So important. And, a lot of us are, kind of are getting to the point where we're hesitant to let people know, that we're Christians and that we love the Lord and that to him be the glory. To him be the glory. And we don't want to say that out loud because we don't want to offend anybody, or we don't want to, listen, I am proudly a Christian. When I get up there to that gate, that Peter's going to tell me, well done. I get up every day trying to figure out how to get to that. Every day. And so I make sure that I try to, listen, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. And so I tell people all the time, I got to have my whole armor. I have to keep a whole armor on. And I definitely need my shield because I'm always trying to fight off these fiery darts and arrows that are trying to get me, because they're trying to get me all the time. But you know what? I know that he is, greater is he that is in me than he's in the world. And so I walk every day to try to make a difference. I really do. And if all of us do that, then we will be able to make a change. I truly believe that.
I think I want to open the floor because Dr. Coleman, a lot of us as men of God and women of God and people of faith, a lot of us, sometimes we leave things to faith, not recognizing that we were given things like diet, behavior, practices, character, attitude. All these things were given to us to use the right way. If we don't eat properly, it's not evil, or it's not the devil destroying us. It's our choice of diet that is creating the chaos. And I think that a lot of people sometimes they just want to create an environment where you do what you feel like, how you feel like, and expect the results are going to be different. No, there's a reality that exists. I changed my eating style about 2 years ago now, where I've gone vegetarian. I don't eat meat. But the reason why is because I have a strain of cancer in my family. And I know that any disease that is in a family, of course I'm a Christian, of course I'm covered by the blood of Jesus Christ, of course there's a protection for me, but equally, of course, there's a genetic reality that if you eat the same way that your family eat, you're going to embrace and engage the same dynamics that they engage. Right. And your body is made up the same way. So I want to appreciate you, Dr. Coleman, for being a part of the class of SteelE. You belong to us. And I appreciate you for choosing us. And I want you to know that we are going to look at all the tools and all the information and all the equipping that we could do for individuals to help them to have a healthy lifestyle. Because once you have a healthy lifestyle, it will change the dynamics of your future. Yeah. And the interesting thing that I will say, Dr. Coleman, is even me, myself, I'm starting to look at the dynamics of needing to get some rest and focusing on it. Because sometimes we burn the candle on both ends, not realizing that even that we need to focus and make sure that we take care of ourselves. So with that being said, I want to open the floor to individuals. If you have any questions for Dr. Coleman, please, this is your golden opportunity. Please ask your questions. Don't be shy. Just ask your questions. I don't think you can ask anything that Dr. Coleman hasn't heard asked in 40 years. So ask your questions. You're free to ask your question. Just wave at me and I'll see you, and I'll just let Dr. Coleman come to you. I see His Excellency Paul Udemba. Go ahead, unmute yourself, please.
Good evening, Your Excellency, Dr. Coleman, and all the excellencies in the house. I have a question regarding to hypertension, because we have had a lot of things, and some of those things you use them or you do them, they don't work. Now they are saying that whoever has hypertension should not drink milk. So what effect does milk have on it? I eat a lot of eggs. Is egg also one of the things that should not be eaten? But out of milk is what I don't understand. So I want an enlightenment, please.
Okay. All right. So that's a super good question. Okay. So milk, a lot of people of African descent have what they call a lactose intolerance. So the lactose that's in the milk causes them to have diarrhea or, upset stomach, gas, that kind of thing. But milk actually is good for hypertension. So there was actually a study done called DASH. It was the DASH study, DASH, Dietary Approaches to Stopping Hypertension. And it had a lot of African Americans in it, actually. And what it showed, especially for African American men, is those men that were consuming milk, were drinking milk, their pressures were lower than the men who were not drinking milk. So I always tell people, especially people of African descent, that especially men, that they should be drinking milk if they have high blood pressure. And if it causes you some, upset stomach, etc., then just try to find the milk products that don't have lactose in it, right? Because there are several of them. It also, most milk is fortified with calcium. And calcium is really important. It's good for your bones. It keeps you from, having your bones get frail as you get older. So, milk has that benefit as well. And then, especially for those folks who live in warm climates where you're getting plenty of sunshine, most milk products have vitamin D in it. And so when you got your vitamin D and you're getting your sunshine and you're drinking your milk for your calcium, I think it's good. Now let's talk about eggs. So it is the egg yolk that has cholesterol. And so if you eat a lot of egg yolk, then that could cause your cholesterol to go up. But the myth out there is that your cholesterol is high only because of what you eat. And that is not true. Your body makes cholesterol. And some people's bodies, because of genetics, makes a lot of cholesterol. And it has absolutely nothing to do. They can cut out all the cholesterol out of their diet and they still have high cholesterol because it's genetic. So if you could eat the egg, if you have high cholesterol, so that's your first thing, then you should eat the egg whites and not the egg yolk. But if your cholesterol's fine and it's not high, and what does fine mean? So that means if you go and you get a blood test and they look at the different types of cholesterol. There are different types of cholesterol. And the one that we worry about, the bad cholesterol, is called the LDL cholesterol, low density lipoprotein, the LDL cholesterol. And so if that number is high is greater than 100, then that means that you would want to, start working on getting your cholesterol number down. Your total cholesterol number should be less than 200. So that's the number most people know. My cholesterol is less than 200. Well, that's great. But I also need to know what the other cholesterol components are for me to be able to make a decision about what's going on with your cholesterol. Why do we care? We care because people with high cholesterol have increased heart attacks and strokes. So that's why we care about cholesterol. Did that answer your question?
Yes, you did. But then there is still something I would like to know. Prior to the time I went to India, we were told that 1 egg is enough for an adult man. But when I got there, I saw adult men eating 4 eggs at a time. And that's not to say that they will not eat it again until they sleep. So what is the difference? Is it that African descent is different from the Asian?
Well, you know,
They say we cannot eat one, but I eat one.
If you don't have cholesterol problems, there's nothing wrong with eating 4 eggs. Eggs are fine. And you know, eggs, you know, if you have chickens and chickens are laying eggs and that's your main staple, then that's fine. All right. The issue is for most people of African descent, cholesterol is not the problem. It's not the cholesterol that's killing us. It is the high blood pressure and the high blood sugars. So I'm less concerned about eggs, to be honest with you.
All right, Your Excellency, I know you listen carefully. Your Excellency, do you have any comments or any questions, Your Excellency Anthony Uweshia?
Good evening, everybody, all the excellencies. I want to actually appreciate Dr. Coleman. We're very grateful for your making out your time to be with us in the class of SteelE, and we say that the Lord will bless you immensely. 2 questions. One is, we know that, like you rightly said, some of these things are hereditary. They're in the family, they're in the blood, they're in the DNA. About handling such issues, because I really know that we are what we eat. And in Africa, for instance, we take a lot of salt. And I would like you to highlight more on the intake of salt to hypertensive patients. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Dr. Coleman.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so salt is a real problem. What we find is that a lot of people from Africa and then people of African descent, because of the kinds of foods that they had to use back, 100 years ago, just based upon culture, we eat a lot of salt. Because of that, we retain water. And the retaining of the water is what causes the blood pressure to go up. So one of the first things that we like to do is decrease the amount of salt that is in someone's diet. And you do that by trying to not cook with it and using other seasonings, herbs and spices to cook, to season your food so that you don't have to use salt. But I know in some African cultures, you have to, because that's how you keep your food, from going bad, right? Is that you cure it with salt. And so then that makes it harder. I understand that. And it does increase your blood pressure. So what we have to do then is we have to kind of compensate by getting more exercise, right? And drinking lots of water, because that sort of helps that if you have to have the salt because of the kinds of culture that you live in.
Your Excellency and Barrister Uweshia, that has answered your question. It is well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Your Excellency, Dr. Lenore T. Coleman. We're very grateful.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, Architect Olukoya, do you have a comment, observation, or acknowledgement for this evening's class, just to add your voice to the discussion?
Yeah, thank you very much, Your Excellency, Bishop Michael Steele. And thank you very much, Your Excellency, Dr. Coleman. Thank you for the exposition, as I would say. It was really a blessing. And there's just one question I want to ask. The aspect of consuming meat, you know, there is what is called white meat, red meat. How safe? And you know, some people, they've cut off meat completely from their diet. And there are some that like meat. I think your your take on this will really help some of us. I don't want to talk more than that.
Yeah. Okay, so I am a meat eater. I like meat. Okay, so I'm not your vegan girl. I'm not doing that. Okay. I like meat. What I try to do though is I try to really limit how much red meat I eat every month. You know, so I maybe only have red meat maybe once or twice a month, right? I eat mostly chicken and I love fish, so I'll eat fish, and I eat turkey. But I do still eat steak and lamb chops, and I don't eat pork. So I'm not really into pork so much. But I do eat beef. I do eat, you know, I have a hamburger every so often. So I think that's, if you just do it, red meat in moderation, that is good. We say that if you look at 3 meals a day times 7 days, that's 21 meals. So what we usually tell people is that if you can get 10 to 15 of those meals as fish meals or chicken, that's good in a 7-day period, right? So mostly meat. And then sometimes I eat meatless, right? So I just eat like a vegetarian. I'm a mushroom person. I love mushrooms. So I'll just make a stir fry with some peppers and some mushrooms and some onions, and or I'll just use that, and I'll make, you know, little casseroles and little dishes. And I love cheese, so I put cheese on top of everything. I eat cheese on everything. And so I, you know, that's how I sort of get my veggies in, right? And I try to eat at least 5 vegetables and fruits every day, right? And in order to do that, I have to usually have some fruit with breakfast and some fruit with lunch and fruit with dinner. And then I get my vegetables into lunch and into dinner. And so I can get my five a day. So I think that, you know, it depends. You know, they say that eating too much red meat is not good. But if you sort of, you know, do it like I said, everything in moderation. And then, of course, fish is really good for you.
Thank you.
You know, Dr. Coleman, I was smiling, Dr. Coleman, while you were speaking, because y'all are, you know, I made a change from being a meat eater, and don't take it the wrong way. I still get my smirks and smiles. I go, ooh, I do miss that, but a discipline. It's almost 2 years that me and my wife have been vegetarian, and we just eat fish and seafood. And the truth is, for me, if I should say what it has done for me, in all honesty, is my energy levels are a whole lot higher, exceptionally higher. My appetite is a whole lot smaller. I don't have a huge appetite. My digestive process is a lot quicker, because when you eat vegetables and just fish, they pass through the digestive system a lot quicker, processed a lot quicker.
Yes, true.
I don't feel bloated or anything like that, and it has cleared up my skin a lot. So I have found genuinely that there is a difference. And interestingly, our son Josh, he eats whatever he chooses because we don't make the decision for a child to choose to be eating no meat. He eats whatever he chooses, but his desire has gone from meat. He doesn't have a desire for meat, and maybe because he sees that mommy and dad doesn't eat it. But pertaining to what you submit, I tell individuals, eat anything you feel like, but eat in moderation. Anything you feel like you can eat, but do it in moderation.
Right.
Don't be an individual where when your stomach is full, you just want to finish the plate. Do everything in moderation. Whatever you do it in moderation. And stick to your diet. When I travel, I do not experiment. I'm not an experimenter of food. Um, I stick to my diet, and I think it gives you a healthy lifestyle and a healthy balance. But again, that's my personal opinion. So I personally, as I would say, fold up my wings in the presence of a dietitian like yourself, a pharmacist who has obviously a whole lot more knowledge than I do. I'm just doing it based on I think it's best for my system.
Right, right. No, and like you said, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, as they say, right? So your skin's cleared up, you feel better, you have more energy. So there, it's all for all of us are different. And so
Mhm.
what I always say is that what might work for you might not work for me, might not work for the other person, but there are some general principles, some general principles. And we know that a lot of times the meat takes a longer time to digest. And that one of the things that actually helps you prevent cancers is having a really efficient digestive system. So you want that stuff we were eating and drinking to go get in and get out. And so that's important.
Dr. Coleman, added to that in the midst of the discussion, one of the things a lot of individuals might not recognize is your stomach is a sack. Picture just getting pepsin and renin, pounding meat together, and then putting it inside of a sack and leaving it for a while. It is going to decay.
Right.
The stomach, the same thing happens in the stomach. The only difference is that it passes through the system with the digestive system removing what is needed from it and then passing out the remainder. However, if someone eats and they go and lay down, when you're laying down after you've eaten a meal and you go to sleep, all of that food is in one single position, all right, on one point in your stomach, on one point because you're laying down. And that point in your stomach where that food is actually decaying. The food is actually decaying in that one point. That's why they say after you eat, move around, don't lay down, because your stomach is turning and that food is being processed. But most people who eat and sleep, because they sleep, for example, on their right side, and when they lay down and the food decays all the time on that right side where it settles, that creates conflict for their digestive system. And most people don't recognize that. Dr. Coleman, I think you should, if you would in your professional capacity, confirm that so individuals understand the dynamic of eating, having water or liquid, and also moving around and not resting and letting food rest on that one, especially strong meat, resting in that one area of the digestive system. Um, Speak to that for us.
Yeah, so I think that it is important that again you have to figure out your system and what's best for you. But eating the vegetables, right, and eating the fruits, along with and having small amounts of the meat and fish, right. So it's all about portions. So your meat and fish or whatever you're eating should be the smallest part of your meal,
Mhm.
and then the biggest part of your meal should be your vegetables. And then another small part of your meal should be your starches. So your potatoes, your rice, those kinds of things. When I look at the foods in the Caribbean, they're eating so much carb. They're eating rice and peas and macaroni and cheese, right? And potato salad. And they're eating all of that and plantains. And they're eating all of that stuff in one meal. So you gotta have more vegetables and only one starch, not multiple starches. But what you said about maybe getting a little exercise after you've eaten to kind of get things moving is really important. And you should actually, they say that after every meal, you should be, especially a larger meal you should be having a bowel movement about an hour later. So if you're not having the bowel movements multiple times a day, and you're going 2 and 3 days without a bowel movement, that's a problem. That's what you were saying. Things are getting clogged up in there, and that's not good. That stuff needs to be moving through. And drinking your fluids and drinking your water and is part of getting that stuff to move through.
Okay, we have a question from Michael Udemba. Michael, you have a question? Please ask your question, Michael.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. So my question is this. Some time ago, I went for general checkup and I was told I have a PCV. I don't know if I'm getting it correct. PCV, that's that my body produces blood very often, like in good quantity. So that's what I was told. So the doctor was like, and I'm O negative. So I should be donating blood every month. I don't know if that because if the PCV being high can affect or can cause high blood pressure, which I don't have, but maybe over time. So I don't know. Is that really true? To the extent that I now have to donate blood almost every month, every 2 months. I'm kind of confused on that in relation to the whole high blood pressure and.
Okay, so I'm not really sure of your question. So what I heard you say is that you're donating. The doctor is having you donate blood every month, and you're wondering if your donation of blood is causing your blood pressure to be high. Is that what I'm hearing you ask me?
No, that's not what I'm asking. So the doctor said after the test that my body produces blood, that I have a good PCV, so my body produces blood very often. And so it makes my blood count or PCV level high.
Okay.
So if I want to avoid high blood pressure, also that I have to be donating blood very often.
Okay. All right. So high blood pressure has absolutely nothing to do with how many red blood cells you're producing, every day or throughout the month. High blood pressure, well, first of all, they're not really sure what causes high blood pressure. So that's why it's called essential hypertension. So they don't know the cause. They know the risk factors, but they don't actually know the cause. They have some speculations. There's multiple causes. But high blood pressure in people of African descent is usually due to eating too much salt in their diet, being overweight, and it also has to do with stress and strain in your life. So you got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stress, a lot of strain, and you don't have good coping skills to deal with it. Mm-hmm. If you have high cholesterol, then that high cholesterol narrows your blood vessels. So that cholesterol basically collects on the walls of your blood vessels, and so your blood vessels get narrower. And so therefore it takes a lot of pressure from your heart to push the blood through the narrower blood vessels. And so your heart has to work harder, and that causes your blood pressure to go up, okay? But it has absolutely nothing to do with your bone marrow making red blood cells. And those red blood cells basically last in your system 120 days. That's the life cycle of a red blood cell. So your bone marrow is constantly making red blood cells. So this particular condition you're telling me about has absolutely nothing to do with high blood pressure.
Oh, okay. So sorry,
Yeah.
because the doctor was like, if I'm having so much blood in my body, the blood will not be circulating well to the heart. The heart will have to be pumping a lot of blood. So because the blood will be excess, and that can cause blood pressure. So I should be donating very often so that my blood level is normal and low.
That's good, and I think that's probably, if he says that's a good idea. I mean, I guess he's a blood specialist, a hematologist, right?
No, he's not.
He's not.
He's just a general doctor.
Okay, so if he's saying that that's true, then there must be some blood work that he's done and showing that this is happening, and that's why it's important for you to donate the blood. But that has nothing to do with high blood pressure. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't donate blood. I would need to really understand more about your diagnosis before I can give you any ideas of exactly what it is that, he's saying. But if he's saying that you're producing a lot of blood cells and you got a lot of blood and you have a specific blood type that is needed in your country and that you could donate because you have extra because you're so efficient at making blood, then I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any of the ladies, I noticed the ladies are very quiet. Any of the ladies have any comments? Florence, anything from you? Adiola, any comments? Florence, anything? Any questions? Go on, Your Excellency. Go ahead, Florence.
Dr. Michael Steele, and thank you very much, Your Excellency, Dr. Lenore, for your for your presentation this evening. My question is, I was stopped from eating all the animal fats, like I don't eat meat, I don't eat chicken, I don't eat eggs, I don't eat milk, I don't eat fried foods. I wasn't stopped from fish, but I used to eat fish normally, but I no longer enjoy fish. Every time I eat it, I want to throw up, so I have stopped taking it. Then when I eat very little salt, very little sugar. Can't these things, even the fruits, at one time I was only told to eat one fruit called apple. Even the vegetables, I wasn't free to eat many, I was limited to a few because of diabetes. Can't these things eventually have an effect on my health?
Okay, so what do you eat? You told me all the things you don't eat. What are you eating?
I eat a local plantain, our local one, the bananas, and then we have pumpkin. It's the food I was recommended to eat. And for sauce, I take peas. I was stopped from eating beans except one variety, the white one, the white small ones only, and then some vegetables. Those are my main food now.
All right, so when you're limiting all of your foods to just a very few different foods, the risk is that you're not getting all of your vitamins and minerals. All right. So that's why we always have you eat a balanced diet. That's a mixture of meat, fish, vegetables, fruits, etc. So that you can get all of your B vitamins, you can get your vitamin K, but you can also get your calcium and your zinc and your magnesium. All of the minerals and vitamins are important because they all do different things in your body. Your body needs all of the nutrients. So the only way to know if there's a problem is you have to get a blood test done, and the doctor will look at your blood test to see if you're anemic or if you're you're having some other issues with your calcium levels or your potassium levels. All of that will tell them if you're not getting a certain nutrient or a certain mineral or vitamin. So in order to be able, with such a restricted diet that you're eating, then I would probably suggest that you take a good multiple vitamin with minerals, right, as a supplement to make sure that you're getting what you need to be able, your recommended daily allowance of those things, because I'm not sure you're able to get all of them from the foods that you're eating.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, we have a question from His Excellency Bishop Samuel Bright also. Your Excellency Samuel also, please ask your question or make your comment, please.
So, good evening, Your Excellencies, our mentor, Marcus Steele. Good evening, Dr. Coleman. Your lecture tonight is great, and we're all enjoying your teaching. I just want to say this, and maybe in the form of a question. Here you mentioned Nigeria, you mentioned Africa, and you are just, it was just exactly what is happening. We are from December last year, 2020 till June this year in Nigeria, we have lost series of pastors. Both popular and unpopular pastors. And among the popular pastors, we have lost about over 6 of them. And it's not as if they are not educated. It's not as if they've not gone to school. It's not as if they don't know about what you are teaching. Some of them were privileged to attend classes like yours. And but I can't just explain. They have the financial strength, they have the currency, they can travel to any part of the world to treat themselves. And but suddenly, not as if they died of what is common in Nigeria today is cardiovascular challenges. It has to do with sudden death. Has to do with untimely death. It has to do with there are several kinds of death, and then the ones that died from last year December to this year June, all of them, the 6 popular ones, all of them died of some of them after administration, they slept and they couldn't wake up the next day. And the next thing we will hear in our local news is that the so man of God is dead. And the social media, we hear that this man slept, just ministered last night, slept and then woke up. He couldn't wake up. And then we have that history. Even in the middle 90s, we have one of our spiritual father, Archbishop Benson Idahosa. He just addressed his crowd. And then next thing, he went to his office and then he died. And we have a lot of them in Nigeria. That's how they have. So I don't know what exactly. I know they say stress, and they say this, they say that. And what are the, do we have some antidote to stress? Yes, I know you talked about food, but I know stress has some. We have a pastor, a friend who just slept off on his car steering, vehicle steering, and another one just died in the motorbike, and they helped the bike man, and then gave up just this year. So I don't know exactly what is it. Does it have to do with cardiovascular challenges or cardiovascular diseases, or is just stress? Or I don't just know. Please, can you just throw more light on this aspect? Because in Africa, these are things that in Nigeria particularly, this is one of the major factors that is dealing with us in Nigeria. We have series of most pastors that die in Nigeria. They died. So let me say they died sudden. They slept and they can't wake up again. So I think can you just throw more light on that area? Does it have to do with food, our intake? Does it have to do with our lack of rest? If it's lack of rest, some of them are resting, they couldn't wake up. So can just throw more light? Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Dr. Coleman, please.
Okay, so that's a great question. So, okay, so were these pastors overweight by any chance?
Actually, they are not really. They are not the ones that died. They are not overweight. They are not overweight. Yeah. Mm.
Okay. All right. So being a pastor is a lot of pressure. Okay. Because you're basically pastoring a flock, right? And so the troubles of your congregation are laid on your shoulders. So you have to have special coping skills, right? To be able to not internalize all of that pressure. All right, number one. Number two, they tend to not have very, regular schedules. Their schedules are all over the place, right? Because they got duties at the church and duties with the home, and they're taking care of the sick and shut in and all of that. I would probably say that if they died suddenly like that, it's usually because of a heart attack or stroke, generally speaking. Okay. And they may not even know that their blood pressures are high, because high blood pressure is called the silent killer. Okay. So by the time you start having headaches or dizziness or having the symptoms of high blood pressure, that means your blood pressure is sky high. But while your blood pressure is elevated, you're damaging your blood vessels, you're damaging your heart. You've probably heard of heart failure. Heart failure is usually attributed to your blood pressure being high. The other thing is that, and this is just my experience, because I have a church-based project that we do at Heal in Our Village called Project Faith. And the faith is fellowship and instruction toward health. That's what Project Faith is. Fellowship and instruction toward health. And I've been working with a lot of pastors. And what I found is that many pastors do not really like going to doctors. They feel that it is that their congregation would think that they don't have enough faith, and they're not depending on the Lord to heal them or to take care of them when they go see doctors or seek medical attention. So they often don't know if they have high blood pressure or diabetes or other things, because they don't go to doctors, because they think that it looks badly, it reflects badly on their spiritual walk. So there's a joke we have here in the United States, and I'm going to tell you this joke. So during the Hurricane Katrina, there was a guy, he was a Christian, he loved the Lord, and unfortunately he had a house that was in the flood zone. So his house got totally flooded. And so he had to actually go up on the roof. And so he was waiting for the Lord to come and rescue him. So as he's there praying on the roof and asking the Lord to come and rescue him, there's some guys that come by in a rowboat. And they say, hey, you need a ride? We got this rowboat. We got some room for you. And the man said, no, I'm fine. I'm waiting on the Lord. And so about an hour or so later, here comes a helicopter. And they say, hey, with a bullhorn, hey, you need some help down there? We can throw this ladder down to you. You can climb up. We can take you to safety. And the man said, no, I'm okay. I'm waiting on the Lord. So about another hour or 2 hours goes by and a big old cruise ship, because they now, this place is flooded. Big old cruise ship comes by and they let out the gangplank and they say, come on, get on board. We're here to rescue you. And he says, no, I'm good. I'm waiting on the Lord. So the man ends up drowning and he gets to heaven and he says, Jesus, why, Lord, why? I was waiting on you. Why didn't you save me? I didn't want to die. And the Lord says, well, I sent a rowboat. I sent the helicopter and I sent the cruise ship. And you didn't take any of them. The moral to that story is that I consider myself to be an angel. I'm one of the Lord's elect. He has groomed me my whole life to be here at this moment. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that everything is fated in my life. And everything that I do and everyone that I talk to needed to hear me say whatever I said at that moment in time. And so pastors often aren't listening around to good stuff. They're waiting for this message to come on high down to them. But you never know. It might be somebody that's in your congregation or the janitor, or I don't know. But we need to be open to good advice, because sometimes that's how the Lord sends it, via angels. And that's biblical. He sent that stuff through prophets. He sent that stuff through angels. And so we need to be looking for those people in our lives.
Dr. Coleman, I want to appreciate you so much, and before I do that, let me ask the First Lady, because my wife is listening carefully, and I know eat more greens. I'm gonna have to do a whole lot more stuff that the First Lady is guiding me along the path. So let me see if the First Lady has any questions or comments. Go on, darling. First Lady Jeannie, do you have any questions or comments for Dr. Coleman? Yeah, I hear you laughing. I can hear you. Go on.
Good evening to everyone. Good night to you. God bless you all. Thank you, Dr. Coleman, for your hi guys, and very, very encouraging for me. And I hope that my husband took note, because only today we were having a very stern, a very one of those conversations, that I want him to recognize that, yes, he is the mentor. Yes, he is the businessman. Yes, he is the husband. He is the wife. He is all of these things. And that's all good and wonderful. But all of these things need him to be alive to do these things. And he needs to take some time for himself to refresh and recuperate and all of that, which he's not doing. And today he wasn't very well today. And it's just because of that. So I am very glad that this message was timely. I believe it was for him as well as many others, because it's really important to take some rest and to recuperate and refresh. If you don't, as you said, things happen, you get dizzy, you get headaches, all kind of stuff happen, and they're not very good for your body, for your health. So I'm very glad you brought your message today. I'm telling you, it's perfect timing. And I will encourage everyone, to really take care of yourselves, because it is absolutely important. You have your family, you have everything else, but you have to take care of yourself first before we can take care of others. And I want everyone to always remember that. I know life gets so busy and you have a whole list of things to do, but if you don't do you first, then one day you can't do anything at all. So I thank you again, Dr. Coleman, for your presentation, and I look forward to many other presentations you will bring to us, because it's really good information. I don't have any questions. I'm just thankful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Coleman, I'm going to be, as your mentor, I'm going to be the first to be very honest as your mentor. Thank you so very much, Dr. Coleman. And I appreciate you, and I really celebrate this. But as the mentor for the class of SteelE, I'm going to be very honest. I have so many people in so many different time zones around the world. And because I respect people's time zones, and I'm a mentor for so many people, Dr. Coleman, I'm never free. And a couple of weeks ago, I started to notice that, wow, I really need to kind of not take a break, but kind of reevaluate how I give myself. And as much as I have persons in different time zones around the world. And that's why I'm focusing on getting the class of SteelE in the position that it is with persons like yourself, so that I can hand over to you guys. Because at the end of the day, all of us want to make the world a better place. All of us think that time is short. All of us think that nobody else is working hard enough. All of us think that we can do more, all of us. But the truth is that all of us need mentors and wise persons who are going to give us counsel and advice when to slow down, when to reevaluate and refocus. And Dr. Coleman, I'm the first to thank you sincerely. I'm the first to thank you for coming this evening to our class, for sharing with us, and also for giving me the opportunity to sit and listen and take into perspective some things. Even Jesus had among the disciples a physician, Luke. Why do you think Luke, the physician, was there? So with that being said, I'm going to let Her Excellency Dr. Anita Davis before. Thank you for being in class. She will give the vote of thanks for you, because it was her beautiful invitation to have you. And we really celebrate you being here from all the regions of Africa that are represented in the class of SteelE. We want to celebrate you equally to our international audience on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. We celebrate you. Your Excellency, Dr. Anita Davis, before, please unmute yourself.
Your Excellency,
You know, she's coming back from Florida. She just got off a plane. I think she's in a car. I can't tell if she's in a car or she's still on the plane.
Oh, I see a seatbelt. Looks like a car.
Okay. So she's coming. She's actually heading. Yeah. So I'm not sure she's got good internet connection.
My dear colleague, I just got off a flight, but I had to pop on so that I could hear what. So I discussion, and it's of us, because health and wellness is so critical and more aware and more deliberate, including myself, about our health and wellness. Because if you don't have your health, no matter how great the project you have in mind, you're not this message, the part that I did here. And I thank you for sharing. And I think a variety of topics and information that you bring into all of us. Because
Okay, I think technology is giving Her Excellency Dr. Defoe a challenge, and okay, we just want to appreciate Dr. Defoe. We apologize if you can hear us. We apologize because we're not hearing you, and we know, and you just wanted to be here with us this evening. But oh, she's still trying. I don't think she's hearing you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're someone in the circle every time that we in our life and our work. So thank you so very much for letting me share.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, Dr. Defoe. Thank you so very much for your effort, and I know you just jumped off the plane and all that good stuff, but welcome back to land. I'm glad you got through the customs and all the dynamics safely, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Dr. Coleman, you're going to be in the UK between now and September. I'll make arrangements for you, Dr. Coleman, as we discussed. Okay. I'll make the arrangements for you to be in the UK, and I think Dr. Defoe will be a part of that. So we just talk about that in the next coming days.
Okay. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone so much. I appreciate everyone, and you know, just listen. The Lord wants us to live an abundant life, and that means abundantly wealthy and abundantly healthy. So, you know, you just gotta you gotta just focus on that, and everybody can do it.
All right. Dr. Coleman, do you have any projects that are coming up that you want the international community to know about? I'm looking forward to coming to Costa Rica with you. I've already been in Costa Rica. So the class of SteelE is going to take a trip next year to Costa Rica, but do you have any projects or
the main thing is
coming up?
Yeah, the main thing I'm focused on right now is my mobile app that I'm launching. It'll be help to prevent diabetes, but it's a weight loss app. And so we have guided classes once a week, and I'm looking to get it out there. It's going to be the basic package is $5.99 a month, and the premium package is $19.99 a month. We launch next month, and I'm really hoping that I can get as many people as we can to start working these principles of Step Up 90. It's called Step Up 90.com, and that's where everything I think I do now is focused on that.
Okay, Dr. Coleman. Well, I'm pleased that the class of SteelE on our website, theclassofsteele.com, we'll be able to have your app there. Is it an Android and also iPhone app, or
yeah, and you don't have to go to the app stores. You just go right to the website and install it from there.
No worries. So we will point individuals directly to your app as well. So Dr. Coleman, thank you again so very much for being with us. Come on, let's give her the Class of SteelE celebration. Thank you very much, so that you know that we're live and we're here. We can see you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, and God bless you for being with us. Looking forward to what we're going to be doing in the coming weeks with you as well with training.
Okay, excellent. All right, thank you, everybody.
All right, Dr. Coleman. All right, well, thank you so very much for being in the Class of SteelE this evening. I'm going to release you. Those who are in our international audience, those on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, thank you so very much for being with us. I'm Dr. Michael SteelE and First Lady Jeannie SteelE. We have the Golden Eagle, His Excellency Samuel Olson, His Excellency Anthony Uwashia, Olukoya, His Excellency Archbishop Olukoya, and Dr. Daniel. All of us are here thanking you for being with us. Her Excellency Dr. Anita Davis before. Thank you for being with us this evening in the Class of SteelE. And we will see you on Friday. Her Excellency Dr. Anita Davis before will be taking care of the class on Friday. So we will see you on Friday. Are there any other announcements, Your Excellency Jeannie? Any other announcements, please?
Yes, the only thing that I would like to do is to remind everyone of the training seminar we have coming up on July 10th, Saturday, July 10th at 9 a.m. It's entitled Getting Your Net to Work, and it's with relation to networking as it's a good idea or a good thought to have your networking functioning, how to have it functioning for your effects from the impacts and effects of COVID-19. So on that day, we will have 3 teachers, which will be Miss Noreen Makasui, she's Kenyan, and we also have Dr. Hilary Emar, Ambassador Dr. Hilary Emar, which I believe everyone is quite familiar with Dr. Emar now because he is one of our strategic partners here in the Class of SteelE. And our 3rd teacher will be none other but our own mentor, Bishop Dr. SteelE. So we look forward to seeing you all there. On the flyer, it's a free event, it's on Zoom. And on the flyer, if you can get to see the flyer, the code for the meeting is on the flyer, so you don't have to worry about registration. That makes it easy for you to log in. If you haven't seen the flyer as yet, you can go to our Facebook page at Ask Dr. SteelE, or you can visit our website, theclassofsteelE.com, or you can ask any member of the Class of SteelE to assist you in being able to take part in that training. So the training is coming up on Saturday, July 10th from 9 a.m. to 1 in the afternoon, and that's London time. So that's my announcement, that one announcement I have for you tonight.
Well, thank you so very much. Thank you guys so very much for here, and I wish you guys a wonderful evening, and we will see you in the next class on Friday. Good night and God bless. Good night, everybody.